Hey there, welcome to the Christian Bro Code YouTube channel. I'm your bro, Mario Escobedo. This teaching is part of the men's Bible study on the Gospel of Mark. I'm going to answer a question in this teaching. The question is, why did Jesus eat with sinners? And this question is a pretty easy question to answer, but I want to look at the answer. How do I put this? The answer behind the answer. It'll make sense in just a little bit. But hey, if you're new here, consider subscribing. Right now, I'm on this journey, and I want to bring you in on this journey on how to learn to grow as a disciple of Jesus. And one of the primary reasons I'm wanting to do this, of course, is just for my own spiritual growth and edification, but also because I want to learn how to be a disciple of Jesus so that I can love and lead my family the way I'm supposed to. I think that's a big reason of why I want to learn. By the way, I'm just adjusting stuff here. This is a live stream. I'm doing this live. You might be watching on the replay, but I'm doing this live. I want to learn how to love and lead my family the way a Christian bro should, the way a disciple of Jesus should. And so if you're interested in learning how to do that or come on this journey with me, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're always up to date on new teachings, and we can learn and grow together. So anyway, let's get into Mark chapter 2. Verses 13 through 17. And when I studied this passage, it blew me away. Jesus' actions blew me away. Now, overview, what's happening here? Jesus calls Levi, who's Levi? Matthew, later becomes Matthew, to be his disciple. And when he calls him, then he goes to his house to have dinner with him. And we read that in verse 15. And very interesting the way it's worded. And as he reclined at table, that's how it's worded, as he reclined at table in his house, many tax collectors and sinners were reclining with Jesus and his disciples, for there were many who followed him. Now, this is very interesting to me. To recline at the table was to have fellowship and to eat. And that was a very intimate situation, very intimate social situation back then. It wasn't just anybody casual that you would recline at the table with. The implication there is that you've become friends, that you're closely associated with these people. And so you've got these tax collectors and sinners who are reclining at the table with Jesus and with his disciples. Now, understand that a lot of times in the Gospels, you have the sinners always lumped together with tax collectors and sinners. Tax collectors were hated by the Jewish people. One of the reasons was because they're collecting taxes, but they're collecting taxes for the Roman Empire. And at this time, the Roman Empire was oppressing the people of Israel. So you're not only is that you're collecting taxes, that's not the big problem. It's that you're collecting taxes for the oppressors, and that will allow the oppressors to continue to oppress us. So you're a traitor to your people. What I find very interesting is where it says here that they were reclining at the table with Jesus, for there were many who followed him, many tax collectors and many sinners who followed him. And when I first read through this, I was interested because I was thinking, well, why would they follow him? They're not teachers of the law. They're not scribes or Pharisees. What was Jesus teaching, or what was he doing that made these tax collectors and sinners follow him? It's, in my mind, like these are the last people you would expect to follow Jesus because they're tax collectors and sinners. And I mean, there may be different reasons for that. I've read some that say that because their need was so great, they would follow Jesus because their need was so great. Be that as it may, I just found it very interesting that it says, that Mark says, there were many who followed him. Now, there were some Pharisees and scribes who were around there, and so they asked Jesus' disciples in verse 16, why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners? He's a rabbi. He shouldn't be doing that. Doesn't he know the kind of people that these people are? Why does he sit so intimately at the table with tax collectors and sinners? Man, why is he doing that? And I'm sure the disciples were wondering the same thing. I bet they didn't have the answer. Jesus overheard them, and then he answers. Verse 17, when Jesus heard it, he said to them, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. And then here's what I think is just brilliant. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. Okay, I'm going to put two things together here, okay? What it says up here in verse 17, for there were many who followed him. Okay, so many sinners, I'm just going to lump them into one group. Many sinners who followed Jesus. And then he says later in verse 17, I came for sinners. Okay, so here's what I want you to see, that it's no coincidence that there were many sinners who were following Jesus. Why? Because it was for the sinners that Jesus came to this earth. Okay, here's the point I'm making. I wrote in the description, why did Jesus eat with sinners? And it all has to do with the S word. What is the S word? The S word is strategy. Now, you wouldn't think of the word strategy when it comes to Jesus, but you'll see in this verse that Jesus was incredibly strategic in his ministry. Here's what I mean. He came for sinners. Who was following him? Sinners. So that tells me that he was very strategic in the way that he presented his message, in the content of his message, in the way he spoke, in the way he acted towards sinners, his behavior, his attitude, his everything, his teaching, his demeanor, who he ate with, everything was very strategically targeting sinners. So it's no wonder that sinners would follow him. He built his entire ministerial strategy around reaching sinners. So who followed him? Sinners. And so this is where I'm saying the answer behind the answer. The answer that Jesus gave the scribes or the Pharisees is, well, I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. Okay, that's the answer. This is why I'm eating with them. But the answer behind the answer is this was his strategy. It wasn't by coincidence. Jesus just wasn't going out and saying, let's see who's going to follow me today. I hope somebody follows me today. I'm going to start teaching some stuff. Maybe I'll heal a couple of people. And maybe as a result of that, let's see who will follow me. I don't know who's going to follow me. Maybe somebody will follow me. That wasn't Jesus's game plan. His game plan was, I'm here for sinners. So I'm going to package everything I do, everything I say, all of my ministry is packaged around sinners and reaching sinners. And so it's no wonder that in verse 15, who's following Jesus? Sinners, right? That many followed him because that was his strategy. That's who he was after. Okay, so if I want to be a disciple of Jesus, I started off this video saying, I want to be a disciple of Jesus. What is it that I can learn from Jesus from this passage? What did Jesus do here that I as his disciple can imitate and incorporate into my life? Well, I'm going to say there's a certain level at which I need to be strategic in my ministry. And when I say ministry, I don't mean just because I'm a pastor or an evangelist or a preacher or a teacher. No. We're all disciples of Jesus. We're all learning to grow as disciples of Jesus. And so if Jesus was strategic as to who he wanted to reach, then you and I should also be strategic. We shouldn't be just, I'm going to go out on the street corner and whoever will listen to me, I hope they'll listen to me, and let's see what falls. Let's see who I can attract. No, be strategic and say, I think God has wired me a particular way, and I think I can reach this segment of people who don't yet know Jesus Christ. Be strategic. And I'm gonna apply this also to your family. And what do I mean? And I hope I'm not stretching the application too much, but here's what I mean. Be strategic if you want your family to follow you. If you want your family to follow you as a spiritual leader in your home, then be strategic and target your family, your wife and your children. Target them and build a strategy of spiritual leadership in your home that's targeting your wife and your families so that they will be attracted to your spiritual leadership and they'll want to follow you. It's not going to happen just because. You'll build a spiritual strategy of how to attract your wife and your children to follow your spiritual leadership, and they'll follow you, but you have to have a strategy around that. What can you do so that they'll follow you? I'll tell you, your attitude at home is probably going to have to change. You're not going to be able to get mad anytime you want and just yell and fly off the handle anytime you want. That strategy is not going to attract them to you as you learn how to grow as a disciple of Jesus. So the big takeaway for me here is exactly this. Learn how to be strategic. This is what Jesus did. He was strategic. He knew who he came for, and that's why they were following him. He built his strategy around who he wanted to follow him. Let's do the same. Let's be strategic. Let's know who we're going after, and then let's build a strategy, a ministry strategy around who it is that we want to attract, who we want to go after so that they'll follow us. And again, this would include our family. Okay, that's the big takeaway from me from Mark chapter 2, verses 13 through 17. Let's be strategic. Let's use that S word in our ministry as we're looking to find people that we can teach how to follow Jesus. Be strategic in that. All right, again, consider subscribing. Check out the other videos that I have in this series on the Gospel of Mark. That's it for this particular session. Join me again, consider subscribing, and go out and make it a great day. God bless you, bro. I'll see you in the next one.